Ever since Jose Mourinho burst onto the scene, winning the 2004 Champions League final with Porto, he's been considered one of the best managers in world football. He's been known to win silverware at every club he's been at, including a treble at Inter Milan and multiple league titles at Chelsea. But in recent years, he hasn't been doing so good at the clubs he's been at. He didn't manage to bring Man United back to the top of English football, and he left Manchester on a sour note. And now at Tottenham, it seems like everything is going wrong again for Mourinho. Tottenham got off to a good start this year, and after beating Man City on the 21st of November, they sat top of the Premier League, and the media had hyped them up to be serious title contenders. But since that very match, it's been all downhill for Mourinho and his men. Since beating Man City in November, they've only managed to win 4 matches since, and more recently they've only won 1 in 6. Mourinho has always played a defensive style of football throughout his managerial career, but this season he's been especially criticised for playing defensive football against smaller teams in which Spurs would usually go out and attack and easily beat. Up front, Mourinho relies on Harry Kane and Heung-min Son way too much. Son and Kane have a telepathic relationship up front, and this season they've been in the form of their lives. They've combined to score 13 goals. 9 of them were assisted by Kane and scored by Son, and 4 of them vice versa. Son and Kane have really bailed Mourinho out this season, and without the both of them, Tottenham would seriously be in the mud. To give credit to Mourinho, he has revived the career of Tanguy Ndombele at Tottenham. When Spurs paid £60 million for Ndombele in the summer of 2019, they expected a bit better from him in his first season at Tottenham. He lacked confidence on and off the pitch, and he didn't look very settled in London. But Jose Mourinho stuck with him, and this was the kind of player in the past where Jose would have just thrown aside and never played again. But this time he stuck by him, and this season he's been incredible for Tottenham in the middle of the park. Ndombele and Højbjerg formed the perfect midfield for Spurs. Højbjerg is an aggressive player and he's fond of a tackle, and he's been absolutely great this season. The 15 million that Spurs paid to Southampton for him is looking like a bargain now. The aggression of Højbjerg and Ndombele's silky skills is a perfect match in the midfield for Tottenham. The problem for Tottenham this season is they have great individual players, but as a team they don't gel together well. For a Jose Mourinho team to work, the players need to cover every blade of grass on the pitch and work hard for each other, and they haven't been doing it this season. Kane and Son are isolated up top every single match, and when they receive a ball, it's just a hoof up field. We know Mourinho likes to play a defensive style of football, but it's never been this bad. Spurs just seem to sit back against any team. It doesn't matter who it is, Brighton, Sheffield, Man United, Man City. It doesn't matter if they're at the top of the table or the bottom. They do the same tactics every match. Tottenham are a club that pride themselves on attacking exciting football. Throughout the years, they've always had great teams and players, and it's always been really exciting to watch them, even if they didn't win silverware. Appointing Mourinho in the first place was a bit of a strange call, and it really showed you the desperation that Daniel Levy had after he'd just sacked Mauricio Pochettino. In my opinion, I think the Spurs board made the mistake when they sacked Pochettino. Pochettino did such great things at Tottenham, and he established them as a Champions League club. He made them title contenders, and he brought them all the way to a Champions League final, which he narrowly missed out on. And he did all this with the budget of a Freddo and a packet of crisps. A lot of people are saying that Jose Mourinho is finished as a top-class manager, and he might be. We're seeing a pattern now with Mourinho at various clubs. He goes there, it's all great for a few months, maybe a year, and then it all goes to shit. Whenever Mourinho loses, he always has an excuse, whether it be the wind, the officials, VAR, his players, the board, anything. He always has an excuse. And if those excuses don't work, he'll just pick on a few players and scapegoat them. This time around it's Gareth Bale and Dele Alli. They've hardly played at all, and when he does bring Bale on, he doesn't play great because he hasn't got the fitness. Bale hasn't properly played in about 2.5 years. You have to give him a run of games if you want him to get into, good fitness. And he just hasn't given it to him. He started Bale against Brighton a few weeks ago and just chucked him in at the deep end. He put him in, he played a first half, played the 15 minutes of the second half, took him off. They lost 1-0, and afterwards, he was just like, yeah, that's why I don't play Bale, because he's terrible. But that's just unfair. The guy hasn't played properly in ages, and you just chucked him in there, so if you did lose, you'd have an excuse. It's getting ridiculous at this point with Mourinho. And it's more of the same story with Dele Alli. He hasn't really played at all since last season. And when Mourinho came in, he was actually playing pretty decent, Dele Alli. He was one of the main players in Mourinho's first season at Spurs. But this season, we've seen nothing of him. Apparently, he's not training well, which a lot of other managers has said about Dele Alli. He's always been a bit like that. He's never given 100%. But you have to work with it. He's a talented player, and he's only 24. He's not too old. But Mourinho has just completely thrown him out of the picture and hasn't even given him a chance. The problem is with Mourinho, as good as he might be as a coach, as a tactician, he's not a good man manager. He can't deal with different personalities. If a player that comes in and they don't think exactly the way he thinks, he just discards them to the side. And what he loses when he does this is creative players, free-thinking players who might come up with a moment of magic in a game. And that's why we've seen throughout the years, as it goes on with Mourinho teams, it just becomes more industrial players, more tackles, more breaking the game up. There's not a lot of creativity in the Spurs side, apart from Harry Kane and Heung-min Son. And that's why he can't deal with the different personalities in the changing room. And this is probably why he's going to lose the changing room. And it's probably why he lost him a little bit at United, with players like Pogba. He's talented, and to be fair to Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, he's getting a good bit out of Pogba right now. It's the best Pogba's played in about 2 years. And this is what Mourinho will never get his head around. He needs to accept different personalities. He needs to accept that some players, they won't run for him. They won't run 90 minutes. They won't close down. But they might come out with a wonder goal in the 90th minute to win you the match. If Mourinho wants to survive in this new era of football, he's going to have to change his ways. And if he doesn't, that's probably the last we're going to see of a top manager in Mourinho. But saying all this, at the end of the day, Mourinho still is a good manager, isn't he? If he was at a club with the right players and the right circumstances, he could still easily be successful. But what I think is that actually, it won't be at a club, it will be at a national team. I see Mourinho as a perfect manager for a national team. At clubs, it's a bit of a burnout. He doesn't like being around the players all the time. He gets sick of them, he gets tired. If he's at a national team, you only see them, 5-6 times a year at the most? He can play his defensive style of football and the players won't get tired of it because they're only playing for him a few times a year or in a major tournament. And if they win, they certainly won't be tired of that. I think he'd do great as the manager of Portugal. They've got an incredibly talented group of players coming through. Bruno Fernandes, Diogo Jota, João Felix, Ruben Diaz at the back. And I don't see why he couldn't win an international tournament with them. Another thing about international football that would suit Mourinho perfectly is that it's knockout football, and we know how good he is at that. He's won 2 Champions League and 2 Europa Leagues. And he won one of the Europa Leagues at United when he wasn't doing great. Remember, he won the League Cup and Europa League. And this season with Spurs, he is in the League Cup final. And if he can win that, he shows that he's still got a little bit of mojo about him. He can still win knockout football. So if he did go to an international team, he could definitely win a World Cup or a European Championship. And he could be fairly successful. So that's what I think about Jose Mourinho as a manager right now. So let me know in the comments. Do you think that Mourinho has finished as a top class manager? Or do you think that he could still be successful? Thanks for watching the video, guys. Hope you enjoyed it. Make sure to like and subscribe. It really helps me out. I'll see you guys next time.